So, Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves. That's going to be our topic for today. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome back to TableTalk Friday. This is Zachary Carvon. I'm joined by my one best friend, Andrew Romano. And we're just jumping right into it today. How are you feeling?
You know, Zach, I'm feeling pretty good per usual. Got my hot dog socks on. I just downed probably about 700 calories worth of jelly beans. Most of my body hurts, and my house is full of boxes because I'm moving. But, I'm living my life because I just saw the D&D movie, and I enjoyed it. It was pretty solid.
What's funny about that, the jelly beans are unrelated to the to the movie. You just ate 7,000 jelly beans.
You think it was 7,000 jelly beans?
No, probably not.
I actually brought the other half of the bag, so let me check. Let's see. So first of all, guys, shout out to Starburst jelly beans because they're delicious.
We're not sponsored by
Definitely not
Starburst.
sponsored,
Don't act like we are.
But I could be, is all I'm saying. So we got, 14 servings in here, and it's 100. Yep, so it's 1,400 calories of jelly beans, which I feel like is the adequate daily dose that you need realistically.
So how many calories do you think is in a single bean? Is that like 5 calories, 10 calories?
I'm going to say 10 calories per bean.
Okay, so that's 140 beans.
If I had to guess. No, see, but that seems too low.
Yeah.
It's like one of those games when you're a kid, you have to guess how many jelly beans is in the jar.
I'm going to say 5 calories, final answer. That's going to be, quick math, 280 beans in a bag.
That seems reasonable. I mean, I don't want to do the math because it's way more fun to guess, but that sounds about right. Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah, and that's the quickest math that I've ever done on the spot, from watching me count damage dice. So anyway, jumping right into the D&D movie. So we both saw it over the weekend. Well, I actually watched it on Monday. And you caught it on Saturday, right?
Yes. I'm pretty sure it was Saturday.
Yeah,
Which, before we even jump into the movie itself, I would just like to say I've been playing D&D for years, and getting people to go with me to the D&D movie was harder than getting a D&D group. I don't know what it was. I was like, we have this awesome D&D group that we play with every single week, and so surely we're all going to go together as a group. Yeah. No. Absolutely, that's not how it went.
Well, yeah, so, I mean, firefighter Eric Sean... I don't know why I feel the need to call him both his names, but
Firefighter Sean.
He's not here, but I would have gone with you, Drew. But before you even brought it up, I'd already agreed to go with Zach's girlfriend Eric, and so we're gonna have like a cute little date, and she is not super into D&D, but she's played before, and so I really wanted to bring her along to sort of give her the the experience of the person who's not super into D&D, but maybe this will help understand some things. And I'll say that it probably didn't. I think she left a little more confused than she came in.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but that's a topic for another day. I think in general, though, this movie. So I guess we'll start with our spoiler-free portion of the episode, and then we'll delve into spoilers a little bit deeper. But just base level, I think this movie is great to bring your friends who don't know anything about D&D to. It's I'll say this is probably the best Marvel movie that I've seen in a while, and it has nothing to do with Marvel. Just because it's got that same style of comedy and the same sort of structure in how they laid everything out, and more than that, I got the feeling that this movie was it was very close to the Avengers in my mind.
Really?
Even in some of the some of the minute details. I mean, you replace Marvel characters with D&D classes, and it's the same thing. It's there's that. It's the bard and the barbarian and the paladin and the sorcerer. Okay, yeah, I'm happy to see all these guys here, seeing them doing their their iconic things. But then ultimately they all have to set aside their differences and get the whatever to stop the horrible thing from coming from the sky.
Maybe I'm just too far behind in Marvel, because everyone I heard talk about this, the people that actually saw this movie, they kept comparing it to Guardians of the Galaxy in Marvel movies, which, I mean, I get the vibe. I see what you're saying, but I did not think that one single time through the whole movie. I definitely felt like it was its own sort of a thing. some people were comparing it to like Lord of the Rings, but Lord of the Rings is way more story driven. To me, it was like a humorous Lord of the Rings. If you took it far less seriously and it was less of a narrative. But as far as like who goes to see this, like I'm genuinely curious because your girlfriend Eric was totally different from my girlfriend Eric, where yours was like, okay, we'll go see it. This is probably what Zach does a lot of the time. Let me see what's in his head sort of vibe. My girlfriend Eric was like, absolutely no, I'm not going to listen to you talk about D&D the whole time for this movie. I don't want to hear anything else about your D&D stories.
That's entirely reasonable. And you know what? I went on a Monday, so it was pretty much like an empty theater, but I was just fighting the urge to point out every little detail that I found where it's like, oh, it's that spell. Oh, it's that place. I know what. Oh, that's the thing. So just incredibly hard as a hardcore D&D fan, fighting the urge to talk through it. But I do think it's very much, I won't say it's like, note for note a Marvel movie, but definitely like the tone is giving Guardians of the Galaxy. We've got our charismatic lead character who doesn't do doesn't have too many awesome superpowers, and then we've got this band of rogues that we get together, and ultimately we realize the value of being a team and a family and blah 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 blah. And interspersed with just the very quippy, witty, not super like laugh out loud funny jokes, but just little chuckles here and there, sort of interspersed throughout. I
actually laughed quite a bit during that movie. I actually thought it was pretty funny. I'm super confused because everything I'm hearing is people are very like all the way to the left or all the way to the right, or some people are right in the middle, but there's not like a lot of. There's not a lot of, what would be the word, consistency with these reviews. It's all over the place, right? So I'm a little intrigued, and I want to hear more of what people have to say, because for me, exactly as I had predicted, I was completely in love with it because I play D&D, right? It didn't matter what I saw. It could have been total crap. I still probably would have enjoyed the movie thoroughly. I always return back to the Mortal Kombat reference, where I loved the new Mortal Kombat movie just because it was cool to see all the old characters and the lore and how they interact with one another. You're not just getting one cheesy line at the beginning of the fight. You're getting this whole dialogue between these two characters. So I am thoroughly blown away when you say you were holding your wits back, not saying all the spells the whole time. I was leaning over to my our friend, we'll call him Gardener Eric, the whole time, like, oh, that was Misty Step, oh, reverse gravity, oh, meteor swarm, dimension door. I was like, that's fifth, like just calling out everything I saw, because to me that was so fun, seeing everything that we do on a daily basis just pop right on the screen, right there. Like, I could do that. I could be that guy. I've done things similar to that. And as a matter of fact, I was totally confused because I was going to play, and I did play a dumb paladin, right after. Again, no heavy spoilers here yet. No heavy spoilers, but I did play a character very similar to the paladin with a low score of some sort in this movie right afterwards in a one-off. So it was a little weird. I felt like I was copycatting, but in the same sense, I saw the movie and I was thinking, since everyone else has already seen this movie, is everyone going to be really good in this one-off? Like, are they going to be inspired by everything that happened? Or am I just going to be, like, totally bad? Am I going to be just totally off the rocker, terrible class because everyone in this movie was so good? I would be able to compare it to like a Matt Mercer sort of effect, I know we said this... we were talking about this for a second before we started, guys. We were thinking, this might be a short episode. Maybe there's not a lot of thoughts, but I kind of have a lot of thoughts about this movie. The more I talk about it, similar to a lot of other topics where it's like, there's just like, spells. It's like this spell, there's that spell. But as soon as you start digging into it, you start remembering all the little scenes and all the little bits and the bobbles and the laughs and the sad parts of the movie and the happy parts of the movie. And I kind of just want to dive more into it as we go.
Okay, so if you haven't seen the movie already, here's what we're gonna wrap up the spoiler-free section, because I also want to dive in and start talking about details. So, on the whole, as opposed to my original thought, where I figured this movie was probably gonna be kind of bad, just based on the trailers and everything leading up to it, I'll say I was pleasantly surprised. this movie, it definitely has the same level of quality in pacing, storytelling, acting, visual effects as like a upper level Marvel movie, in my opinion. I think it's probably the best modern fantasy movie that I've seen in a long time. I like it better than all of the Hobbit trilogy.
But I love those movies, though.
It's no Lord of the Rings for me, but it was definitely very good. I found it even more enjoyable as a D&D fan. I think as a casual moviegoer, there's a lot to like here. And you know, if you're maybe a youngin' out there and you can't go and drive yourself to the movies yet, your mom will probably like it. So so take some solace in that. But otherwise, I mean, it's a good family flick with a lot of references, specifically to like Forgotten Realms and that sort of brand of D&D. So if that's your shit, like it's my shit, I think you'll really like this movie. Otherwise, it's still pretty fun. If you're not into fantasy at all, though, maybe the quips alone won't carry you through it. So that's my one critique. I'll probably give it like an 8 out of 10.
Really? That's pretty good rating, though.
Yeah.
Okay. So you put me on the spot for a rating now. I don't know where to rate this, because I kind of want to tell you guys all to listen to Zach because I thoroughly love this movie. I loved it so much. I'm kind of thinking about seeing it again. I don't know if I want to go all the way to the theaters to see it again, but I want to relive it because I feel like there was so much that happened so fast. And for someone like me, where D&D is just so important to my lifestyle, I just don't know if the average person would or would not like it. Like, I'm thinking probably, but I'm so biased. Like, I'm so far off the side that I just don't know. I need to talk to somebody that hates D. I have to go talk to Zach's girlfriend, Eric, and see what she thinks about.
She's
this.
gonna love D&D one of these days. I think I maybe have alluded to this before on the podcast, but she's only played through one session of D&D, and I DM'd it, and there was one particular. It was a bad DM moment.
Oh,
I'll admit it. But she really wanted to spit on this boy.
What? Elaborate, please.
So I was running her and her sister through Lost Mines of Phandelver.
Okay.
And they were just in the opening part of the adventure. So minor spoilers for the beginning of Lost Mines of Phandelver if you're one of those D&D players who hasn't seen it yet. But they deal with the first goblin encounter and they move on. They didn't pick up the clues to move on to like the first dungeon, so they skip past that and go to town. So they're in town. They go to the stable, and there's the stable boy. He's cleaning whatever. They're being a little snarky to him. So I say something like he I don't know. He tries to
mischievous.
Yeah. He he just gives them a weird look, like they're behaving weirdly, and then my girlfriend Eric says she wants to spit on him, and I ask her, why do you want to do that? And that derails it. And she got super self-conscious about like, well, what am I supposed to do? Am I not allowed to spit on him? Well, you said I could do anything in this game. Why can't I spit on him? So
it's not that you can't spit on him. It's just why are we spitting on this poor boy?
Right. So in any case, it's clear from this movie that Chris Pine's character could have spit on anyone that he wanted at any given moment, but he didn't because the moment didn't call for it.
What?
And that's how you play D&D. That was my takeaway for my girlfriend Eric from this movie.
That's what you got after 2 hours and 16 minutes of cinema. Fine cinema. You learned not to spit on people. That's the lesson, guys. Go see this movie. If you're a parent out there, go take your children to see this movie because it'll teach them not to spit on other children.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, at least not in the theater.
Okay, so anyway, spoiler-free section over. We're going to start talking about details. If you don't want the details to this movie, go watch it and come back. We'll wait.
Oh, we're waiting. How long should we wait, Zach? 10 seconds?
Yeah,
maybe?
that's probably enough.
You think so?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We'll jump back into it. So, first of all, this is going to be a little disjointed. There's a lot of shit to talk about, but the thing that you already sort of alluded to that I really want to dive into, my favorite character in this movie, and the second that he showed up on screen, I got giddy because of how like on point he was. Zenk the Paladin, absolutely my favorite.
Really?
Yeah. Well, so there's a reason for that. And it's just the second this guy shows up on screen, you can tell that he's, he's just very, he's the prototypical paladin where, that I have an oath and I'm sworn to it. And, there's no levity, that he brings. He's the fully serious, fully committed player that's sort of a wet blanket to the rest of the party. And so I love seeing this guy show up because up until this point in the movie, he joins a little bit later, and then he also leaves, which I didn't like. But
Lee's favorite part, when my favorite character leaves.
Yeah, but the rest of the party is so, typically D&D, everyone's sort of goofing and cracking jokes and blah, 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 blah. And then this guy shows up and he's the player who's taking it all way too seriously. And every, chance to like try and slip in some levity or, crack wise, he's just like, I don't get it. and I both saw myself in that player because I've definitely played that character before. I think Morwin was a little tuned in that direction. But then also just looking at it, objectively, I think it was very funny because I think we all know that player. And if you haven't been them, you definitely like pointing and seeing, oh, it's that guy. But anyway, he was also super cool. I loved his sword dagger thing. That was super cool.
Yeah, it was almost like a ballistic sword. So he swings it and then shoots it out, but then he still had a dagger in his hand. Yeah,
so they explain it in the official stat block that Wizards of the Coast has released for him. So I think they called it his dagger sword, and so he can switch it out to either be the long sword version or then switch it into a dagger and short sword. I'm not sure how that works. It didn't look like that in the movie, but in any case, it's a transforming sword. It looked super cool.
But it did shoot though, right? Because it looked like he shot. The blade at somebody.
He definitely shot it out of the end. I didn't read the stat block close enough to fully. But
see, I kind of like that idea though, that you're able to shoot. So it's like a melee weapon, but you have a little bit of range with it. Maybe it's not something drastic. Maybe it's a little more towards like javelin kind of range, right? But in the same sense, I like the idea that you shoot it and then you have to get it back before you get your full long sword. That way you have to like really rush in and pull. Maybe you have to like pull it out of him. I don't know. That's kind of fun.
I thought that was really cool, just as a conceptually as a magic item, because you've got the dwarven thrower that sort of does the same thing, but that it comes back to you automatically. So having it be you can throw it, but you're going to have to go get it. And until you do, you've got your dinky little dagger. So then you have to decide, well, is it worth it to throw it right now, or should I, go engage in melee? I think that was really cool.
It's cool if nothing else, just as a little option as a melee fighter, But I guess I should have guessed, Zach, that the Paladin would have been your favorite character, you of all people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll say I haven't seen the actor that played Zenk. I believe it's Renee Jean Page or something. Don't.
Yeah, him.
Yeah,
him,
don't.
Yeah.
Don't at me if I got it wrong. Anyway, I looked all this shit up today.
It was close enough. I'll give it to you.
Yeah. So anyway, I just thought he brought such a great energy to the character. My one complaint about him though is how they use him. So he shows up sort of in the second act. They need to get the helm of what's it called?
Disjunction. The helm of disjunction.
Yes, the helm of disjunction.
Yeah.
This legendary magic item, so that they can sneak in and get the jewels or whatever. So he takes them down into the Underdark through this dungeon to find the item. But once they get it, he says, "All right, this is your adventure. I leave you." That didn't sit right with me because Well, so he's obviously like a DMPC, right?
Yeah.
He shows up, he's super powerful, he's taking everything too seriously, and then, but he's only there for his purpose. So he leaves the party when his time is through. So that was both very D&D. Like, we've all had that situation happen in an adventure. Harshnag with our one campaign, or we had one recently in Avernus, didn't we?
I think Lulu, to be honest. I always think
Lulu.
She was so strong and helpful, then just like the wind, man, just gone. We need that extra well, we don't need the healing anymore. Now we have with Zach's broken character where he can just heal us all the time.
Yeah. a spell storing item, you put 8 in that, you cast 8 10 times a day.
Gosh. But it did feel very, DMPC. I agree. But in that same point, first of all, he had to leave. He was too strong. He killed all those people in like one. He's like, leave it to me, guys. And it just kills all these people. I don't know if they were like old, ancient wizards or what they were.
Yeah, they seemed like they were undead warriors of some kind.
Yeah.
But because he killed them all, and then they all got back up. But I will say that was all very in typical paladin fashion. He just runs in and does the encounter himself. I'm sure he spent all his spell slots on Divine Smite in the middle of that. Which, I'll say my one other complaint of their portrayal there wasn't like an explicit Divine Smite moment. Like he seemed like an Oath of Devotion paladin to me, because like he lit up his sword. He sort of had like his sacred weapon thing going on, but he never. Yeah. There was never like a moment where the blade lights up specifically and like there's a radiant blast or something that comes out of the guy.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping for one big blast of some sort, like maybe just a big finishing blow on one of the big bad guys. Like, I thought that would have been kind of sick. But I feel like that kind of transitions it into some of the other characters too, because I know we mentioned this very briefly. When you take into account the main character, the bard, he didn't do a whole lot. There wasn't a whole lot of spells going on. And to your point, I know they made stat blocks and they gave him, a couple spells that he can cast, and they're more, charisma-based kind of things like suggestion or friends or charm person, things like that. But I did want to see more, same as the paladin. I wanted to see some divine smites. I wanted to see a shatter maybe go off. I wanted to see him cast some spells with his lute. First of all, that would have been super cool. Imagine, like, you'd strum it, right? You strum it, and then the cavern shakes and quakes, and the stalagmites are falling down into some of the enemies. That would have been super cool, and that's stuff that you see all the time in D&D when you're playing a bard. Same with the paladin. Give us a little more oomph. I wanted to see more of the stuff that we actually do on a one-off to one-off basis or a campaign basis,
Yeah, so I'll say, as far as, being a D&D fan, Chris Pine's character, Edgin Darvis, I have it in front of me now, so now you know. He didn't do anything that was like super mechanically like the 5e version of the bard, but thematically he struck it right. I mean, he's not a fighter. He's like the face of the party. He does the talking, and I liked how he was very canny. So like he would come up with the plans and on the fly thinking to sort of get you out of the situation. That felt very jack of all trades. Like, okay, well, no, I don't know how, in my day-to-day life to blow a hole in the rocky ceiling above us to get out of this situation. But, oh, Simon, use your fire to light the dragon's breath, and it'll blow the ceiling out of the area. Which, I'll say probably that was my favorite section of the movie, is when when they went down into the Underdark there. And apparently the big fat red dragon that exists there is already a canonical dragon that shows up in Out of the Abyss.
Really?
Yeah, Thembershode is his name.
Did he? Now, they said his name very briefly in the movie, and that was only because they was like, oh, he found a new lair. And then he was around in the area. But I had never heard, and I told Garden Eric while we were there in that moment, I was like, I have never thought of just putting a thick dragon in my game. That was so fun. It was so interesting. It was so unique. When I think dragons and I put them in my game, they're epic and they're villainous and they're, they have all these evil plans and they're trying to eat you and all this crazy stuff. And he was just fat. He was just a big fat dragon.
I mean, also, like, he was very, like, cute in a way.
Super cute.
But But that would be horrifying. Like
absolutely.
A fully grown dragon that wants nothing more than to just eat you. Like, he's gonna make it happen. I know he is.
He was very primal, which was weird to me that they picked a red dragon to do that, because lore-wise, I don't think a red dragon really fills that hole. You probably go a little more like a white dragon or something like that, because they're a little more, frost giant-y. They battle. They're a little more savage, right? So to me, it felt a little weird that it was a red dragon, but I liked it in the setting we were in, because it felt like we were in a volcano in this lava-infested underdark cavern. It was very thematic, and I did like it.
Yeah, and I don't know like the deepest lore of what they say about him in Out of the Abyss. But I got the vibe that he probably could have talked, but he just chose not to.
Yeah. And just while we're talking about the fat dragon, I'm gonna bring up the fact that I think it's very strange, very, very odd. In the Dungeons and Dragons movie, they didn't have a heavier dragon presence. We went into dungeons, right, and we saw I think two dragons in this movie. One only for a moment, and the other was the big fat red dragon in the Underdark, right? Neither of which talked. And dragons are highly intelligent creatures, usually with these big villainous plans that they have to tell you, or they have a big horde. But as far as I could tell, neither of which had those things. The red dragon, sure, he had like a horde, if you will, but it was really just bones and stuff. And I'm sure there was probably goodies and stuff under there. And I get that the Helm of Disjunction was nearby, but he didn't have stuff. To me, like, they kind of did dragons a little dirty, especially if you went to the movies and saw that big old cardboard cutout in front with the big, awesome, epic black dragon in the background with the big horns. And I'm just thinking, oh, he's gonna spit, acid. He's gonna have like some sort of necrotic breath or something like that. And he was in the movie for like 15 seconds.
Now, when you went and saw the movie, or when I saw it, they had like a little pre-roll thing where like Thember showed like is like pushing against the screen, and like he I think he actually like sets the screen on fire, but it's like this whole like 3D thing. Did they not do that?
No.
When you watched it?
You went to a better theater than I did, apparently.
Well, they didn't have any shit in the lobby though. So.
Oh well.
Yeah. And they didn't have the cute little dice buckets of popcorn.
I was so oh my god! I told everyone, I was like, I'm so against this. I'm not gonna do it. Like, I'm not gonna buy one of those stupid things in the movie theater. And I got there. I was like, I just want one. I want one so bad right now. And I was looking all over the place. I asked for it. They didn't have it.
Damn.
I was so upset.
Where'd you go?
I went over to the one in Mooresville in North Carolina. It was a nice little movie theater. They actually redid it recently.
Well,
So
was it
really
an
nice.
AMC?
Yeah, it was an AMC.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
did you go to an AMC as well?
No, I went to a dine-in theater.
Oh, you and Sean went to these cool places, these really cool environmental settings to watch these movies. And I kind of wish I had done that. I wish I could undo it and go somewhere else now. Now, don't get me wrong, the theater was awesome. I felt very immersed. Like, the sound was solid. The visual on the screen looked great. And we didn't pay for any, top premium. I think there was like a higher, what is it called? The premium viewing experience, whatever they call over there. But I kind of like the idea of just watching on a projector, like this cool setting with some food and some drink. Like, that sounds really fun to me. I kind of wish I could do it again, but
yeah, and ultimately all I ended up getting was popcorn and alcohol, which I will admit, this is a good movie. If you are of drinking age, I highly recommend going to a theater where they will serve you drinks. I think it'll be even more fun that way. But
oh, what was that? What was that drink that Sean was talking about? They had some sort of gelatinous cube. Beverage. I don't know what it was.
I don't know what it was, but they did have like apparently at Sean's theater they had like a little. It was in a martini glass with a gelatinous cube, like I don't know, some Jello something in the in the middle of it.
Sounds kind of ick, but he did say it was bubblegum flavor, which sounds kind of good. I don't know. But I kind of down to eat some D&D themed food, Like, I think about going to like a Harry Potter movie, and I kind of want some of those, what do they call them, pots? What are those beans called?
Birdie Bots, every flavored beans?
Yeah, that's it, yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, of course.
Which is funny, because in real life, I hate those things. You ever had one of those mixed boxes of beans? They are terrible.
Well, yeah, but that's the whole point.
Oh, but Zach, they're too... Okay, so, there's the good beans, right? The good beans are great. Obviously, they're good beans. But then there's, like, some that are okay. Like the toothpaste one, a toothpaste bean. I don't know if you've ever had that one. It's not terrible. It's like, like a mint, kind of like a chewy mint, right? It's not that bad. But then I had like a vomit one time, Zach. It was, oh my God, it was one of the worst experiences of my life, Zach.
What did it
was
taste like?
Like absolute, so you know the feeling when you're about to get sick, you're like, oh no. That's what it was like. It was like you were chewing on that moment in your life. It was terrible, terrible.
Yeah. So as a wee little kid, when they were selling these all over the place, and it was popular, I found the secret thing to do with your friends. They'll be like, you can't eat this bean. Just don't chew it. Like, stick it in your mouth, act like you're chewing, and swallow. The covering of it's all just sugar.
Really?
Yeah, so it doesn't really even taste that bad. You just have it in your mouth for a second and then swallow it, and it doesn't taste like nothing. Though, if you want to talk about rancid beans, rotten egg was way worse.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That vomit was bad, and I had what was it? Skunk spray one time. That was it wasn't as bad as the vomit. It wasn't as bad as that one, but it was pretty rough. Oh, and there was one. I'm sorry, we're talking about beans here, but there was one bean that I know the bad flavor was licorice, but I loved licorice.
Oh,
and
same.
So, it was wonderful. So I ate that thing. I was like, oh no, it's the bad one. But it was so good.
I sure hope you don't make me eat more of this bad bean.
Please don't do it.
Anyway, more about the movie. I quite liked Chris Pine. I think he did a good job.
Mm-hmm.
He just as a D&D fan, I would have liked to see him cast more spells. Even there was that one scene at the end of the movie where Simon did like a I guess it was probably just a minor illusion or like a projected image where he made it look like Edgin was walking through the gate and like singing a song, but I guess they passed their intelligence save, so the illusion started to like fail and glitch out, which was this is the kind of shit that you describe as a DM, and you're like, I have the idea of what is going on right now, but I can't describe it in the way that I want to. I loved seeing that exactly play out in the film, and I think there were a lot of little things like that where it was nice to see like a canonical depiction of this kind of shit, because I don't know if you've gone on the Forgotten Realms wiki lately, but it's been fully updated with like all the shit from this movie.
Really?
Yeah, and it's all canon now. So all these characters, exist in the Forgotten Realms, and this shit actually happened. So
that's actually really cool. So I like the idea that already, so all the old stuff that we have now, like Mordekainen and Tosh and all that, those are previous characters from people that actually played this game a long time ago, and so they've become the canon. Their games have actually rolled into the real world of D&D. So I like the idea that everything we get to see with all of our friends on the screen, stuff we actually see that we're not just playing with, is actually real. So you could take things like like the evil horn, what was that? Magic horn that turned everyone into undead, whatever it may have been called. You could now use that kind of thing in your game, or you could run into not Chris Pine, but you could run into these characters. So that's actually really neat, and I think it would actually be a really good idea that maybe if you're just getting someone into D&D, maybe they run into these characters. Because it would be very simple and easy for these newer players to see these characters on the screen and visualize them, because they literally have visualized them. You don't have to draw them out. You don't have to paint them for anybody. You don't even have to explain them. I mean, you would in your game, but they understand exactly what they look like, how they move, and the things they would do. So I feel like it would be super handy right off the bat to start off with these characters if you're trying to get someone into this game. I think it would be a solid idea.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I'm sure that's why they made these stat blocks for, if you want to, you see the movie, everyone's super excited about it, you jump in and you say, okay, well, we're going on this adventure, and Holga Kilgore just happens to be there, and you have a little adventure with Michelle Rodriguez.
Why not?
Yeah.
Man, I loved Holga. Holga was so cool.
Yeah. And the thing that I loved about her is you could see it in how they decided to choreograph it. Is she definitely took the tavern brawler feat, and that was like her whole thing. Was she fights with her great axe, but it doesn't matter if she doesn't have it. She's gonna beat the shit out of you with her bare fists, and any random environmental shit she can get her hands on. And they even put like improvised weapons in her stat block.
Oh,
that's
really?
Like, yeah, that's
I
sort
love
of
they did
her
that.
thing. So
that scene with the brick, that was one of the coolest moves I have seen. She's sitting there ready to get executed, right? This axe is coming down on her, and she finagles while she's distracting him. She finagles this brick out from underneath her where she's laying her head out to get executed. She lifts it up, blocks the great axe with a brick, smashes it into his foot, smashes it into his face, and gets the axe. That was so cool. Like I've heard of a lot of improvised weapons, right? Everyone knows that in the tavern or in the saloon, you're gonna grab a chair and smash it over someone's head, right? Classic. You're gonna grab a bottle, smash it over someone's head, maybe stab someone with it. Easy, stuff that I love to see in the games, right? But using a brick to defensively block the axe, that was so cool, and I want to do something like that.
And that was definitely her scene too. I think everyone in the movie, except for Edgin, gets like a moment where they specifically shine. I mean, I think Edgin, I take that back. Edgin's moment where he shines is right at the very beginning, where they're in the Revel's End prison in Icewind Dale. Which super cool that you can recognize all these locations. Revel's End didn't exist before the movie, but now it's in Keys from the Golden Vault. So
okay, I like that.
But in any case, his moment, of course, he tells his whole backstory, but he's really just stalling using his charisma so that he can get Jonathan the Eric Cochra in there and jump out the window with him. Which I might argue that could have been a use of like a suggestion spell or something, because I mean you can't tell like a normal person to jump out a window, but but you could probably suggest an Eric Cochra to do it. They'd be fine with that.
But I would honestly, that whole scene, first of all, that scene was stupid. I loved that scene thoroughly. I had no idea where he was going with this. I had no idea who this character was, which, listening to it back, I think his name might not have been Jonathan. It might have been like Jobatin or something.
I'm pretty positive it was Jonathan.
I love the idea of an Eric Cochran named Jonathan.
Well, and that again, I hope it was, because that was the other very D&D thing about it, is you have people like Edgin Darvis and Zenk Yandar or whatever, and
very
then you've got
D&D names.
Simon and Jonathan, and just what the DM probably didn't have a name for that character. The players asked, "Oh, what's the Eric Cochra's name?" Jonathan.
I didn't expect you to launch him out the window.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I had to give him a name at that point. But what a good idea, though. I've never thought about trying to quote unquote slow fall with a flying creature against their will. that's kind of a great idea, though. You just tie yourself off to like a dragon or an Aircocker or like an Aaron Yes sort of thing if you're in Avernus, right? And you could use them to your advantage. I mean, it wasn't a great landing by any means, but and they pardon him as he's out the window. They give this beautiful heartfelt
Well, they were going
speech.
to.
But it's terrible. They gave this beautiful speech. I was really feeling for him. I was like, yeah, this guy deserves to get out of prison. He's done his time. He needs to go back to his wife and blah, 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 and all this, right? And then just before they pardoned him, they launched the escape and just pushed poor Jonathan out the window. And then later in the movie, we find out they try to do it again with Jonathan, not the party, but a separate person, one of the villains, right?
Yeah, Forge Fitzwilliam.
I'm just wondering how often Jonathan has been pushed out windows at this point in his life. Like, how many times have people used him to escape before they filled that hole in?
Well, probably just once, I have to imagine.
I don't know. I'm thinking maybe it happened a couple times. Poor Jonathan had that look on his face like, not again, as they pushed him out the window. Oh my god! Oh! And I didn't mention the Dragonborn. The Dragonborn in that scene. I think that was the first one of the movie.
Yeah, they had a couple.
Correctly. But that was so seeing like a high and mighty, not royal per se, but important Dragonborn figure. That was really neat. And I know it was CGI or some sort of prosthetic or something like that.
Yeah,
but
I'm not sure how practical the first Dragonborn they had was, but then there's one later in whatever town. They met Zenk in, but there was obviously Rubber Mask Dragonborn, and I loved him so much.
Rubber Mask Dragonborn
because his face didn't articulate at all, and so there was just a moment where I think he was doing some character acting or whatever, and the rubber mask just shakes a little bit, and I loved seeing that.
But just working on with those, like the species that you see, because you see Aarakocra, you see Dragonborn, you see Tieflings, and all these different kinds of people, and they even reference humans throughout which I thought was kind of interesting. They didn't explain any of the races, which I thought was kind of cool, because it made the world feel more magical and mysterious. And I'd like to think, I don't let me speak for anybody that hasn't played D&D before, right? But I like to think that as someone who hasn't, that would feel very interesting. Like, who is that? Oh, how does that work? Where'd they come from? Or like, how do they come to be? Because as a player, I think about dragonborns all the time. It's like, well, what are dragonborns really? Like, are they made from dragons? Are they like a lab thing? But I thought it was very interesting seeing all these people, and no one had mentioned it. Period. It was kind of cool. It made me feel a little immersed. Like, well, no, we don't have time for all that. We have to go along with this adventure.
Right. I mean, honestly, the movie was already 2 hours long. I don't think they had time to like sit down and explain it. But I like that they didn't too, because it's the reality of living in the Forgotten Realms. Like, yeah, sometimes you're just gonna see a cat man, and you have to be okay with that.
Cat man. Oh yeah, they did have that one cat guy. The paladin had saved the kid and gave it over to the big tabaxi. Oh man, good variety of races and species in this movie. I gotta say, it was pretty cool.
No, you know what? I'll say there wasn't a good enough variety. You know what wasn't? A single one wasn't in this movie.
What?
There weren't any dwarves. There weren't any orcs. There weren't any goblins.
Oh yeah, there wasn't. That's kind of weird. Were there?
There wasn't a single full elf, I don't think. No, Simon was a half elf, but other than him, I can't think of a single other one.
I don't think there was one. I know the druid had pointed ears, but said she was a tiefling.
Yeah, she's a tiefling.
Which I did not get right away, by the way, because usually when you think tieflings, you think some sort of like, devilish look, where they have red skin or something like that. And so I wasn't sure what she was right off the bat, because when I see her, like her little horn sticking out, it immediately gave me Keyleth vibes from Critical Role, where she has like those little horns kind of going on. I think she wears like a mantle or something like that.
And what's Keyleth?
Keyleth is a druid.
Yeah. What race is she?
I don't know. Oh god, I'm terrible.
Well, there you go.
Oh no, all the Critical Role people are to come after. I don't think she's a tiefling though. I don't think so. But I'm kind of surprised they took that route. I think maybe it's for the better to like avoid controversy and all that kind of stuff in the D&D movie, so people don't think we're witches again. But no, I did like that they included the tiefling. I wanted to see some sort of fire magic though, or like a little bit of something going on there.
You know what? Come to think of it, if there weren't any elves like in the main cast, like they did have that whole Emerald Enclave civilization where there were a bunch of like elves in the background. So
that's true. Maybe they just weren't introduced per se,
Yeah. And speaking of moments where a character gets to shine, I think Doric the druid, she probably had more I'm the main character moments in this movie, just like in the action really, because she had that whole wild shape sequence where, first of all, I love that they had her go in as a tiny little creature, because that's very iconic druid shenanigans that they don't tell you can do, but every player gets up to it. And so being able to go in as like a fly, and then she gets caught by the wizard, whatever her name was.
Sophia.
So
we're gonna go Sophia. That works for me.
Yeah, it's like Sophia, something like that.
Which she was super cool too, by the way.
Let's see, Sophina.
Oh, so that's why I said Sophina.
But there was that whole chase sequence where she's wild shaping into different things. In 5e that doesn't work. It wouldn't work that way. But in 1D&D, if she was a 13th level druid, she could have done that. So I'm excited for that, just for this one scene. And honestly, having watched this movie and all the shit that Doric gets up to, I feel like they kind of designed some of these 1D&D features. Like, okay, well, I know people are going to get real pissed that she turns into an owl bear in this movie, so we're going to make it so that it's not explicit that you can't be an owl bear in the new version. And, they're going to get pissed because she's wild shaping too much. Well, we're going to give you more wild shapes, and you can switch between them at will at a certain level. So, like, all these shenanigans are going to be retconned into rules as written.
They'll probably change a bunch of these. To be perfectly honest with the druid, I'm just glad the druid got a lot of screen time. To your point, definitely main character vibes. Did all sorts of very useful stuff, going in and out of places as wild shapes, sneaking in, sneaking out. Their whole final plan, for the most part, a big piece of that was her wild shaping and getting into that vault. So, frankly, I I don't know the exact stats, but I know that druids are one of the least played classes in D&D, which is surprising to me because druids are very fun, right? Very, very fun classes to play.
Yeah, and even more than that, I feel like a tiefling druid is probably very rare.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I can't imagine. I can't imagine someone playing a tiefling druid.
They just don't. I mean, stats-wise, they don't vibe at all.
Yeah, that's true. Especially before you get to Tasha's.
Now in Tasha's, you can do whatever you want, though. So I think a tiefling druid is more viable now than ever. But
very cool though. I hope that people see this, even if they haven't played before and they decide to play now. I hope someone sees the druid and's like, wow, that's really cool. I want to play one of those in the game. I'm gonna be honest. I played one recently, and I kind of want to play one long term. I can't do it yet because Zach has to do it first.
I'm gonna do it one of these days. I keep saying I will.
Which one would you play if you had to pick one to do long term right now? Which one would you pick?
Circle of Wildfire, easy.
Really?
Yeah, I want to do that so bad.
Oh, it is a cool. I liked when Chase did it with the Warforged. He had
candle.
That, like, eternal. Oh yeah, candle. He had the eternal burning, candle with like the spirit in his chest that he used. That was really sick. I like that.
Yeah, super cool. But all druids are really cool, and honestly, I kind of want to play the new Circle of the Moon 1 D&D version too. So,
oh yeah. Well, I don't know. See, going forward, I just need more. I need more stuff before I decide to commit to anything like that. I need to see the full handbook and to see all my options. I cannot commit to any specific subclass, class, or race before any of this new stuff comes out. I'm not even thinking about it. I can't. It'll stress me out. I have to wait to see all these final versions, which we're still waiting on all kinds of new stuff for that. So I'm hoping new stuff comes out soon. I think the survey is out. It's actually ending sometime soon, I think.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, but I do want to see more.
So get out there and do your surveys if you haven't yet.
Yeah, and hopefully we get to see some cool survey feedback from the movie. I don't know. Maybe people will see the movie like, oh, I wish I could do that, or I don't know, I don't know what you'd get from the movie per se that you'd want to do. I feel like you could do most of the things you see in the movie, except for I think she wild shaped too much in the beginning. I think it was like 5 or 6, which is a little too much. But there was a lot of cool stuff in that movie that I would like to see transition to the game. I'd like to see more of it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I'm gonna say it right now.
Go for it.
Okay, Holga, very cool. Love Holga. I am flabbergasted. I am completely blown away. In the beginning, I thought Holga, like most people think now, unless I'm completely misreading the whole situation, I thought Holga was barbarian. And then as she was fighting, I was like, oh, she's not a barbarian. She's a fighter. Makes perfect sense.
She's definitely a barbarian, dude.
But that's what I'm saying. Everyone is saying that, and I'm like, she to me felt like a fighter. I don't think she got like furious at any point, and she didn't like rage out. She didn't do anything barbarian-esque besides use a large weapon that a barbarian would use, and she was very strong, sure. But
she also wasn't wearing like a barbarian class armor. Like that was leather at best.
But she did have some armor going on. Fighter doesn't have to wear chainmail or plate every time. To me, she was just a fighter.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I could agree with that because she was definitely throwing out more attacks than a barbarian would typically
was
get.
Going crazy.
But I think she did show some instances of rage. It wasn't super explicit, but like there was that one scene where Sophina casts transmute rock, and they get stuck in the mud, and Forge is walking past, and obviously they're both angry, but she definitely did like a she stood there and did like her barbarian roar for a second. I was like, oh yeah, that's like barbarian behavior.
Okay, I'll give you the one roar. But
well, and the fact that she fought that whole room of guys, like no offense to a fighter. I mean, I know Nuth from our previous campaign could definitely do the same, but a barbarian needs to be able to take a bunch of hits and keep on fighting, and I think she definitely, I don't know. Zank also took a whole room of guys, but yeah,
that's true. But I think he had more defense going on, right? Holga did not, right? So she didn't really take any hits to me. Like, she wasn't tanking anything as the barbarian. She was, to your point, she was dishing out a ton of attacks to me, which is an action surge, right? She was action surging. Maybe she was a high-level fighter, so she had a couple of them up her belt. So she was using a few of them all at the same time. Maybe she could have been like, dual-wielding, if you will, right? Get those extra attacks. To me, I think a fighter would be better suited to fight all those guys off. To me. I don't know.
Interesting debate. I will say though, it was also interesting how they chose to display combat, right? Because there weren't that
Yeah.
many times that people were getting hit. I think the one scene where we saw like the most like they take a blow and it like glances off, but they definitely lost some hit points there. Was the fight between Zank and I believe it was Drawless, the Revenant or whatever he was, with the green flame blade.
Oh, I said as soon as that happened, I was like, "Oh, Green Flame Blade! It's Green Flame Blade!" I'm just waiting to see this in a movie.
Yeah, super cool, everything there. But yeah. Anyway, other characters. I'll say my second favorite character that we haven't talked about very much at all yet was Simon Omar, the sorcerer. And I don't know if you caught this, Drew, because he's not super popular in any of like the modern D&D adventures, but he's like a staple character in Forgotten Realms. Simon is the great grandson of Elminster Omar, who's
Is he in canon?
Yeah, like he's a famous wizard in canon. And so, there's that whole scene where Simon's trying to attune to the Helm of Disjunction, and every time he puts it on, Elminster shows up and starts giving him a hard time. Which I love that whole thing. I think Simon was one of my favorites too, because he gave me massive Hikili vibes.
That's what I was gonna say
from our campaign.
Okay, I'm glad we're on the same wavelength, Zach. We're the same wavelength right here.
Yeah, where he's a fledgling sorcerer. He's got some shit he's got to work out, but he's got this very flavorful way that he casts spells. He's got his little rotating which is really just a visual way to represent wild magic. But he's got like this little spinner, and he spins it, and whatever it lands on, that's the spell he's casting, pretty much. I just loved him. I liked seeing him again. I don't know if you remember, but he was the main kid in Detective Pikachu.
No, oh my gosh, it's been so long since I've seen that movie. I did love that movie though, so I'll have to go back and see him.
Yeah, it was fun to see though, and he sort of made me realize something about the movie too, where you can sort of, I don't know, there like all of the environmental characters all spoke in a British accent, but like the main cast were pretty much just speaking in American accents, and then there's Simon because he's the player that wants to do try an accent, and I thought that was really cute. Just I don't know if you picked up on that at all, but that
no,
was
I didn't pick up on the accents at all, actually.
but it felt very D&D, right? Because any logical person might think, well, that's weird. Why?
That's out of place.
Why is Chris
there.
Pine talking in American when they're all from in an American accent? When they're all from the same place.
Give it a different vibe.
Yeah.
The speaking of out of place, when you mentioned that little device he had on his side, there was a solid minute where I was like, oh, he's multi-classed artificer. It's got to be what it is, right? I was blown away. I felt so oblivious and dumb. I did not know he was a wild magic sorcerer until closer to the end when he said, "Oh, it's wild magic," or something like that. It said some sort of something he goofed up. He was like, "Oh, it's just wild magic. It wasn't me," right? He was kind of diffusing himself down a little bit, which it made me so mad because half of the movie, right? He was, I'm not a strong sorcerer. I'm coming from a long line of sorcerers, and I'm no good, and I'm just not powerful enough. And that was kind of the vibe I was getting for a long time. And the first scene,
he cast reverse gravity.
Reverse gravity.
Right, but that was his wild magic.
But
surge.
I didn't know that. I was furious. I was like, "Are you kidding me? You're not a strong sorcerer? 7th level reverse gravity? I have never seen that happen in real play." Ever. I'm a 15th level wizard right now. I'm just about to copy this down. I've been playing for years, looking forward, dreaming of the one I get to cast reverse gravity. And he's like, "Oh, I'm just not powerful." Get out of here, Simon. What are you doing, dude?
Yeah, I also, there was a moment I was like, not a powerful sorcerer. You're casting Speak with Dead how many times? But it was his little magic item that let him do that.
Okay. Just going on the magic items. I know we talked about him attuning to the helm. All the little stuff in this movie that was just so different from what you'd expect, like attunement. I loved that. The idea that attunement was this long journey, and he had to go through all this character development to get into this item, right? Because attunement slots in real D&D are like, oh, spend an hour, it's done. Or at our table, Sometimes we do more of like a an action thing to keep things fresh. That way you can attune to something quickly. Let's say you get a cool new sword that's relevant to the plot, and then all of a sudden a fight breaks out. You can use your action to get that sword, right? I love that they overcomplicated it. I love that it was more of an issue. They had to really overcome it. He got to talk to his, I don't know if we said it was his grandfather or something.